Just like you, I'm obsessed with the Joe Rogan Experience. I listen to every single episode because it's the best conversational podcast ever. But, surprise, I'm the unicorn vegan that Joe really wishes didn't exist, or at least based on his rhetoric, he doesn't think I exist. I've been studying nutrition obsessively over the last 6 years. I've built all my muscle mass, which is a little bit respectable, on a high-carb vegan diet, eating fruit, rice, potatoes, beans, and veggies. Hey, we have that in common. I'm covered in tattoos. I love to be in nature. I actually live on my bicycle and I bike around the whole world. I've biked over 5 countries so far as a 25-year-old, and currently I'm in Baja, Mexico, and I started 9 months ago in Anchorage, Alaska, 5,000 miles north. I biked by bears, guys. Joe's fucking scared of bears. I'm scared of bears too, but I sleep outside on my bike by myself in the woods with bears. In fact, I will link those videos in the description below. By myself, and I'm vegan. I'm passionate about animal rights. I've even participated in some animal rights protests. But despite all my pussy-ass, weak, uninformed, emotionally, and non-scientifically based vegan ideologies, according to Joe, I actually resonate and appreciate how Joe sources his food. He goes out there in the woods and knows what it feels like to actually kill an animal and eat it later. Most people, they don't do that. I don't think Joe will ever go vegan. This series is not trying to make Joe go vegan. I just listen to so many episodes and I want to honor the rights and correct the wrongs, in my opinion, on how Joe views the vegan lifestyle. So I'll be giving you my perspective as a 6-year vegan who knows a lot of awesome vegans like myself, and also a lot of idiot vegans. Animal rights activism. A ridiculous social justice warrior movement? Or legit? Let's find out. Today we'll be breaking down an episode from a few weeks back where Joe talked to Michael Hunter, the chef and owner of a restaurant called Antler in Toronto, Canada, which serves game meat, deer, and sources their meat from free-range farms or hunted rather than from factory farms. And there were some animal rights activists that decided to target this restaurant to protest.
And you're surrounded by restaurants. I mean, I know where you are.
So we're surrounded by restaurants.
Toronto.
There's an actual butcher shop across the street, and if you go in, there's like whole cattle hanging.
That's okay.
In their butcher shop.
But
yeah.
You're a problem with your comparison to kale. You attacked their sacred kale. God.
We're promoting meat. I don't know.
That's
totally
what it
bizarre.
is? Because you were promoting it?
We were promoting it
on the sign.
Yeah.
So
no
if
idea.
you just didn't promote anything,
yeah,
and they were allowed to cycle by and dream of broccoli,
yeah,
without any interference.
It's just really upsetting, and I think it's totally misguided, you know, why we were targeted.
To Joe and probably the average person, it seems ridiculous why us vegans would target an establishment that is doing something more ethical and more sustainable than factory farming. You know, why aren't we protesting McDonald's and Wendy's all day? Why are we going to this guy who is sourcing like ethical or free range or hunted meat? The reason that these activists were protesting this kind of establishment, and why I too have done protests in Whole Foods and I've done protests in restaurants, we specifically target locations where customers will be eating there who actually care and think about food. If we protested a McDonald's, people are not gonna listen to us. They don't even care that they're eating factory farm food. So it actually makes sense for us to target the people who might be doing things quote unquote on the more ethical side of the scale of killing animals, which we believe is just an unnecessary thing for most people. Okay, I'm not a crazy idiot vegan. I honor that. If people want to hunt, or Inuits who eat whale blubber and stuff like that, that's beautiful. As long as you're balancing the ecosystem, I don't care what you do. What vegans are really all about are not harming animals when it's unnecessary and it's not even good for the environment. So we're probably annoying to people who are trying to do a better thing, trying to give people more ethical meat. But the reason that we're protesting there is because we think people are gonna listen. Those are the people that we can push maybe a little bit forward to say, huh, actually maybe it does make me uncomfortable to be eating an animal when I could be eating a veggie burger or a sweet potato or all the other healthy options. So we find it's just a better use of our time. But we also protest establishments like McDonald's and go into factory farms actually and rescue animals in an act of protest. But just to clarify, that is why we target people who are actually doing things a bit more ethical, because we think that the people will listen more.
They're basically giving us an ultimatum. We have to put their slogan in our window and they'll go away. But,
What?
Yeah. There's like, I can't remember it, word for word, but it's, like killing animals is wrong. They have feelings.
What?
Yeah.
Do you have to put that in your window?
Well, we're not going to. There's no way.
But that's
absolutely.
what they want.
That's what they want. Yeah.
That's
so
hilarious.
It's like terrorism, extortion, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
Come on, that is so hypocritical. Joe, you have talked so many times about ag-gag laws and how ridiculous it is to call people like vegan activists who are taking drone shots over factory farms, which you have literally talked about in episodes. You think it's ridiculous that the government calls us eco-terrorists. You're really gonna call a couple of Toronto vegan cyclists activist protesters terrorists? Come on, that's bullshit. The minute a vegan activist or a Black Lives Matter activist or any activist goes towards an act of violence versus just non-violent civil disobedience and protesting, fuck those activists. They're not a part of the movement that I'm about, which is all just speaking your mind, sharing, connecting from heart to people. The minute anyone would resort to violence, they're not a good activist.
And so then like a megaphone came out. Our neighbors were coming down and getting in fights with them, and it was ugly. So we called the police to come and
Jesus Christ,
keep the peace. Yeah.
A megaphone.
Yeah.
You would be making fun of us if we didn't have a megaphone. You're really gonna be like, ugh, they had a megaphone? Yeah, that's what people do at a protest. We need people to listen. You'd be making fun of us if we were quiet. Come on. There's
a real argument that I support against factory farming. And factory farming is the way most people are getting their meat. And that's a real problem that we, as a society, it's not obviously not you or I that has set up the system. It's a real problem.
Here's something that Joe and I, and pretty much anyone who's really thought about food can agree with. If you eat meat, but you don't want to kill your own food, you're a hypocrite. I don't want to kill my own food because it doesn't make me feel good. I've killed animals before. I've killed chickens in Indonesia with my hands, with a knife, and ate them and cooked them for a dinner when I was living out in the jungle because I'm a fucking badass. I've had those experiences. I don't choose to do that anymore. It's not right for me. I choose to eat plants. But you are doing such an unethical disservice to animals and to the planet if you're gonna spend your whole life eating factory farm meat, never killing an animal yourself, and just being disconnected. Why would you want to live like that? So Joe and I can agree.
I've removed myself from it for the most part, but occasionally I'm on the road and I'm hungry and, I'll eat some meat that's just whatever.
Totally. It's a necessary evil,
sort of.
It's
not
but
really necessary.
It's not really necessary at all. That maybe that's the wrong way to describe it, but
this is an interesting point, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm curious what you have to say. Joe, while he hunts his food and eats mainly his hunted meat to feed his family, which, as I said, I can respect that, he also, once in a while, will talk about, oh, but I'm on the road and I gotta go to this restaurant or I go to Wendy's. He loves Wendy's burgers, and he admits that once in a while he gives in and eats unethical meat. But I, as a vegan, and vegans in general, we never give in and just eat one piece of meat on the road or whatever, because then you're not vegan. If you do that, that's fine. You're just not vegan anymore. I haven't consciously made the choice. I guarantee I've accidentally eaten dairy or chicken broth in Malaysia, where I biked 2 summers ago across Malaysia and Thailand to Singapore. But I'm sure once a year, twice a year, I eat something at a restaurant and the person doesn't understand what I'm saying when I tell them I'm vegan and I eat dairy. But when you consciously make the choice to do something out of your ethical framework in the form of veganism, like I've never done that. Never once as a vegan have I consciously made the choice to eat animal products. But Joe, he eats ethical most of the time, but it's also within his comfortable framework of living to go to the dark side once in a while. And I think that's just something we should bring up. Like, his ideology is not as strict and passionate, you could say, as someone who's vegan. I will never, as a vegan, consciously purchase an animal product because I so don't believe in it. And I've traveled the world. I've been to probably over 7 countries as a vegan. Again, on my bicycle. I'm not in cities. I'm in tiny random places in Thailand, Malaysia, Italy. I just rode from Alaska to here through hunting country. I had to be on my bike for 3 days sometimes, and I've never run out of food and had to eat animal products. If I can be vegan, literally anyone in the world can be vegan.
The idealistic view of someone who lives in a city street in Toronto and is driving around on their bike looking for signs that are criticizing kale or whatever the fuck they're doing, they're not in the real natural world that these animals exist
100%.
in.
They don't get it. They don't understand. You know, they live in their bubble, and
I'm one of those crazy radical vegans who has this insane idea that if we have the choice, I'm going to choose not to pay for someone else to kill an animal or kill it myself, and I'm going to eat sweet potatoes and rice and beans instead. So crazy. But I am one of those stupid vegans, according to you, that protest establishment that are harming animals, and I'm not plugged out of the system. I'm directly in it. I sleep in the woods, I hang out with hunters, I live on farms as I am right now. I've killed animals before. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I still choose to live vegan. Some people are plugged out of reality and have never had these experiences and just want to be a part of a movement. Sure, and they probably don't know what they're talking about, but you can't paint us all with a broad brush. Like, I'm completely equipped with the information and I choose to make these choices. I understand how this is gonna sound crazy to a lot of you if you're coming into this video just thinking that veganism is the craziest, dumbest thing and only hippie weirdos do it. That was me for my whole life until I went vegan at age 19. For my first 19 years, I never thought I'd be a fucking vegan. They're stupid. They're crazy. It's a terrible, radical way to live, right? I thought all that stuff, and my life has only improved significantly from being vegan. My whole life that I have now, living on the bicycle, having a YouTube channel, my friends, my past relationships, the festivals I go to. But we legitimately think that the animal rights movement is similar to a movement, dare I say this, like the civil rights movement, where there is a large group of people, or as a Jew, I can say, honestly, the Holocaust, and there are actually current survivors of the Holocaust that have teamed up with organizations like Jewish Veg and live a vegan lifestyle, these old Holocaust survivors, and they talk about the reasons to go vegan, connecting it back to concentration camps. These are people who are actually in the Holocaust, and the reason they do that is because concentration camps were actually modeled after factory farms. The whole concept is the same. You're oppressing a large group of people, and yes, animals are people. People don't need to be humans. The reason we think of animals as people is, you know, your dog, doesn't your dog like you maybe more than the neighbor, and it has certain foods it likes and it has intentions, and if you beat it on the head it would be really sad. Those are kind of what makes what we think something a person. A rock is not a person, but an animal is different. If you've ever spent time around livestock animals, you know that a cow, chicken, pig, goat, turkey, which I literally live with right now, they want to live and love their babies and have certain preferences for foods and activities in the exact same way as your cute pet dog or cat. So when we round up hundreds of thousands and millions and actually billions of these animals, we birth them into confinement to live lives of torture in factory farms, which Joe thinks is an atrocity as well, but this is how most people eat meat. When we do that and then mass slaughter them for no reason other than we like to eat them, even though it's not a sustainable source of food and not even healthy, and there's so many other options, we think that this is a very large social justice movement and that there's a lot of animals that are suffering. So if you believe in dogs being protected or cats living good lives, why would you think it's okay for cows, chickens, and pigs to be born into enslavement and live lives of torture for us to murder them if we literally don't have to? So the reason that you're gonna see us continuing to protest, I hope non-violently, because again, if you ever violently protest, you're not a real or good activist. We're gonna continue to protest in the same way that these other movements have until we give rights to these beings that we think deserve rights to live. Do I think that animals deserve the right to vote? Fuck no, that's the stupidest, craziest shit ever. But dogs in America have rights. If you're a human and you abuse a dog, there's literally punishment that you can get from the government if somebody reports that you are committing animal cruelty to a dog. But You're considered a professional and a farmer if you do that in mass to thousands of animals, but just they're a different species. So yeah, that's speciesism, which is again the term that Joe laughs about. It's a real word. It's a real word. Why do we love some and eat others? The only reason is culture. Other cultures eat dogs. Other cultures eat cats, monkeys, whales, things that in America we would be so sad and afraid of while we're eating our turkey sandwich and Wendy's burger. That's speciesism, that's hypocrisy, it's fucking stupid. The reason that we're going to protest is because we believe all animals that are sentient beings, that have a brain and can think and express emotion and are people, just like our dogs and cats, we think they should get the same rights as our dogs and cats and that we shouldn't be killing them for no reason. Let me know what you think in the comments below, all you keto fucking undercarb Joe Rogan fans. But remember, I'm a Joe Rogan fan too. We are all one, and there is no actual hate in this episode. This is just to be fun and funny. I know you could come back at me with all the same funny claims. This is just to have a lighthearted, but also hopefully educational way to express some of my frustration when I, as a vegan who loves Joe Rogan, hear him kind of talk about vegans in a misleading way. So let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know what you think about this series. If you want me to make commentary videos on any other YouTuber, podcaster, whatever, leave them in the comments below, or you can send me an email through plantriotic.com. More videos like this to come. We gotta do nutrition, we gotta do sustainability, and we gotta freaking do the calves being ground up in the corn combines. Dude, don't blame vegans for that. Blame people who eat Wendy's burgers like you. Much love, Dream Extreme.